Good morning, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Um, it's Sunday morning, October 2nd, 2022. I wanted to share with you guys some images from space, from satellite that were just released. They came out, I believe, yesterday. Um, it took they actually came out pretty quick, within 48 to 72 hours of the landfall. And some of these images are, honestly, they're really hard to look at. I mean, we knew going in that this was going to be a strong landfall, and something that was, before I get into the new images and stuff, something that I wanted to show you guys that um, it was, I don't know, it was something that was kind of unique with regard to Hurricane Ian. This is a new hurricane that's rapidly intensified over in the East Pacific. I'd have to look at the name. It starts with an O. This is letter O over in the East Pacific. But yeah, we've got another storm over here. Went from a Category 1 to a Category 4 really, really quick. This isn't the one I wanted to show you. It is this one right here. Okay, this is a screen grab as the giant hurricane had just exited the coast of Cuba and was headed this direction here towards Florida. And it came off of Cuba as Category 3. But I want you to notice, this is something that I've looked for, and guys, I've got a lot of experience with hurricanes. I may touch on a wide variety of subjects, but this is something that I've done for 18 years. I'm not the oracle of knowledge, but I have educated myself in different types of weather phenomena. And this is one thing that typically when you see these red lines on here, this is wind shear. And the bigger the number, you see a 60 there, a 50 there. This is what Ian was going right into. See the red lines? It was going directly into the wind shear, directly. And it was having no impact on the storm whatsoever. So, typically when a storm goes into wind shear of this magnitude, it decreases in strength. Well, as we all know, this one increased in strength. So, it was unique in many ways. I think it was the fourth most powerful to ever make landfall in the U.S. But over here at Google Earth, you're looking at the one and only way in and out of, other than via boat or helicopter, if you're driving into Sanibel Island, and this would be the south end of Sanibel Island, and we're going to look at some close-up photos of the coastline here. You're going to be able to see how much different it looks now after the landfall. A lot of these homes do not look the same. The coastline does not look the same. Again, there's new images that have just came out from this area that you're going to see here. I don't know if you've seen these or not. You may have seen bits and pieces, but these are new first-hand images that aren't very old. But anyway, this is one of the, like I said, the driving. This is the only way you can drive to Sanibel. That's Google Earth. And here's Ian after landfall. And you can see this is right here. Okay, this is what it looks like now. Right here. There's nothing there. Well, there is, but it's heavily damaged and is going to need extensive repairs. That's the Sanibel Causeway. Would go over here to the mainland. Go back to the Google Earth, and I'll show you guys. This is where we're at here. That is completely gone. Okay, and then we go over to this stretch. The main part, I think, is still intact. Let's look and see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's still there. That held up actually pretty well because it didn't take on, it took on water, of course, but you can see the difference here. All the sand and it's just totally changed. See all the sand over here and how the trees don't necessarily like hours and hours of salt water, moving at, you know, anywhere from 80, 90 to 100 mile an hour. That's why those trees are shredded. The appearance is shredded, and it's these trees right here. And notice all the concrete here and the road. Here's what it looks like now. See all the sand that's over here now? The road's pretty much covered with sand, and the trees that were there, these trees right here, no longer have any vegetation on them. They're just completely gone, other than, you know, the frame of the tree. And the salt water, you know, and of course the high winds, obviously, but they don't necessarily like the salt water. And you can see all the water piled up over here. I'll take you guys to what it looked like before. It's just unbelievable. It really and truly is. And we've got to figure out a way to try to help these people. I don't want to set up any type of a donation account. I want to directly help these people. I don't know. I don't like to see, you know, and I know you guys don't either, you know, people that don't have homes. You know, like one guy was saying, you know, several people left there, and I'm talking about like Fort Myers Beach. They left there with nothing but the clothes on their back, and that's all they have left. So, you know, it's just not a good situation. Now, this area here, you can see there's a new opening there that was not there pre-storm, and that's this area right here. It's gone. Check it out. See? That is completely gone. There's what used to be there. It's not there anymore. Man, it's just mind-boggling. And this is just one area. I'm going to take you guys to multiple areas to show the impacts. Here's another area that, you know, was washed away. Look at that. So 2 parts of the causeway, 2, completely gone. The road is going to have to be completely replaced. The sand, the amount of sand too that was airborne during the landfall, it was probably creating, that's why I say that the trees and vegetation were being sandblasted for hours. In a sense, it was like a sandblaster. Sandblasters, you use those to remove paint and enamels and things like that. So the flying sand could easily, you know, handle a tree. Yeah, just a tough situation, and this was one of the biggest that did interact with land. I think it was the 4th. But that's probably still yet to be determined. We're going to go into some areas here. I've got several still images. You can see where parts of the coast here of Sanibel Island, you can see the runoff after the storm. There's new channels all along the western side and the southwestern side of Sanibel Island. These new, what look like big dark creeks. You know, that's land that's washed away off the island. They do drain quickly. That's one thing about an island. I found a golf course out here that no longer looks like a golf course. We're looking at the south end of Sanibel Island, and you can see there's a giant tree just laying down. You're going to see sand all over the place in these close-up views, and understandably so, because the landfall, well, the right-hand side, and this whole area was impacted by the landfall. All this sand here was being lifted airborne, and some landed on the island, and some went even farther inland. The impacts that this thing had on the southwest coast of Florida are, honestly, you know, it looked like it was going to be a big storm. Knew it was going to be a big storm, and honestly, what showed me that this thing was not a typical Category 4 storm was this wind shear. It was not reacting to the wind shear. The eye wall developed in the wind shear. It got bigger in the wind shear, and it remained in the wind shear for 250 miles. That's kind of unusual. So I saw that, and that's what made me, you know, understand that this thing here was you needed to evacuate. You can see this house here. I think there's nothing left but a slab. I mean, it's really sad, guys. It really and truly is. you know. But I'm just sharing with you guys some photos of the first-hand images here of the landfall. And this goes on for miles. Look at this house or slab. The house, I think, is gone, and that part is underwater. And these barrier islands, and any island, honestly, will drain rather quickly. You can see water collecting over here. This is a canal, like a little waterway between these houses, and you can just see debris all over the place. And the grass, any type of lawns that were there. Like, for instance, here's a golf course. See, it's got like fairway or hole 12. This was a golf course that was inundated with salt water, and it just took out the grass and flooded. Here's like fairway 14 or hole 14, however you want to describe it, and it's covered with like a brown murky water, and obviously not usable, and may never be usable again. Here's another part of the golf course. This would be fairway or hole 15. Yeah, well, there's the hole right there. That would be the fairway. And here's another part of the golf course that it's not green anymore. It's covered with sand. That's why it's a different color. It's covered with sand, and then of course it was covered with water. Still covered with parts of it are covered with water, like a brown murky. Look at this brown murky water over here. There's no telling what that is. But anyway, this is a part of the golf course right here that no longer looks like a golf course. It's covered with sand. You don't see anything green, really. That's 11. This is 10. And here's number 1. This is where you start, so I would assume there's a clubhouse up here somewhere relatively close by. But that's hole number 1. So the clubhouse must be up in here somewhere. I don't know. You can just see debris just strewn all over the place. But I wanted to... Yeah, this is... Oh, here's hole number 5. Here's another area that was hit really hard. You can see the white sand just piled up all over the place. And that's hard to deal with. You ever get sand inside of a motor of any kind? Motors usually ruined. You get sand down in your garbage disposal, and I'm just using that, just talking out loud because I've had that experience. We cleaned a fish aquarium one time and got a little bit of sand down in the drain in the garbage disposal, and boy, it was next to impossible to get the sand out of just that. So here's the utility department on Sanibel Island. Looks to be, at least from this perspective, pretty much intact. But again, here's where we're at, guys. We're on Sanibel Island, and Sanibel Island was, predominantly, it was in the eye wall. This eye wall was extremely large. I mean, Hurricane Charlie could fit in the eye wall of this storm. It was so big. This storm, at one time, I measured it from side to side, wingspan to wingspan, and it was 914 miles wide. The eye wall, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles wide. Hurricane Charlie could fit in the eye wall. But you can see Sanibel here, okay? The eye wall came up and made direct contact with Sanibel, and then, well, you guys know the rest. So, but that's where we're at. We're right here, and this is where the storm came in. When we get up here to Fort Myers, and you can see all this area here, see how it looks white now? That's from sand. Flying sand. That's why it looks that way. And you can see that there was more flying sand over here on this side of the landfall, on the Cape Coral side, and the Fort Myers side, there's not quite as much sand. But that shows you the counterclockwise rotation here, and that sand ended up getting deposited in the Cape Coral area, at least much heavier than the Fort Myers side. But the Fort Myers side, especially Fort Myers Beach, some of these images are just mind-boggling. The strength of this storm as it made landfall. And here you can see another area that's draining very, very quickly. It's got the coastline murky and discolored, with the runoff. from the estuaries. I wanted to show you guys the marina that does not look anything really like a marina now. The boats are just everywhere. And we'll get to that here in just a moment, but I wanted to stick with Sanibel. We're going to kind of work our way in, but here's like a part of Fort Myers Beach. And again, you know, it's just wow. You know what that reminds me of? And you can see that it is indeed a category 4, just a little bit under the strength of Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Michael, when it made landfall in Mexico, in the Florida Panhandle, most of the structures were taken completely off of their slabs. And you can see that there are some here that are gone. Same right here. There's a cluster of homes right through here. There are buildings. They're no longer there. That's very much what Hurricane Michael looked like. I believe back in 2018. These piers are gone. These are new images. Sand just strewn for miles. This is a road, or once was a road. You can see cars in here kind of taking a peek around. I think the bridge that connects this to Fort Myers. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Yeah, it's still there, still intact. And we're going to look at some boats, but this whole section here, I think that's Fort Myers Beach. Again, it looks the same all the way up and down through here. We're going to go look at some boats. And these boats, look, check this out. This was a marina, okay? There were boats all through here and over here. And you can see it's just completely discombobulated. Look at all the boats there. They're stacked on top of each other. I mean, where do you start? And that's just one area. Look over here. Look at those boats. That's from hours and hours of storm surge and high waves, high winds. Almost like a version of a tsunami, basically. That's how those boats got up there, was from the water. Look at that. Where do you start? There's a boat over here on the other side. Actually, there's several. Look. That's on a road. Look at that. Multiple boats. I think there was a boat or two up here. And those look like modular homes. Completely moved around. Some completely gone. A couple boats here. That's on a road. That's for that road is for cars, not boats. I've never seen anything quite like this. More boats up here amongst cars. Significant roof damage here. I mean, where would you start? Where would you start? And this building here is pretty much, I would say, a total loss. Boats out in the parking lot. Again, we are at Fort Myers Beach. Servants of God, can you look at Fort Ogden? I sure can. Give me just a second, okay? Carmen, focus Pine Island and Matchla. Okay, Malacha. Okay, I will, Carmen. Guys, give me just a second, okay? Kind of working my way around Pine Island. Start with Pine Island first, but this is Fort Myers Beach. This was in the right-hand quadrant of the storm, which is always historically right in here. It just came in like this. And that's always the strongest part of any tropical storm, whether it's a tropical storm, Category 1, in this case it's Category 4. That's the strongest part of the storm. Pine Island, I think that's over here to the left, isn't it? I'll find it for you, hang on. Yeah, these people need help. Pine Island, Florida. Gotta get my bearings here. Oh, okay. Pine Island. Oh, there. And Malacha. North Captiva. I think the official landfall was right here. They were saying Cayo Costa. That was where it officially made landfall. Okay, so Pine Island. Let's go check it out. We are going to Pine Island, which is right here. There you go. We're going to take a look at Pine Island. And it looks like Pine Island was possibly on the left-hand side of the eye wall. Eye wall's an eye wall, I get it, but some parts of the eye wall are stronger than others. Okay, looking at Pine Island. Some nice homes here. Well, the boat is sitting up in the back lawn. But comparatively speaking, it looks like those docks are underwater and heavily damaged. The homes, very nice homes there. I don't see any roof damage, but let's just keep looking around. Again, these are new images from NOAA. A little bit of damage here. You can see some debris, which obviously there's. I'm surprised there's not more. This is good news for this, at least this part of Pine Island. Looking around, I would say there's probably no power here. I don't know. I know they're getting the power restored pretty quickly, all things considered. That's just one section. Let's look over here. Looks like Pine Island, like again, comparatively speaking, did pretty good compared to Fort Myers and Naples. I mean, even that screened-in area right there is still intact. And I remember Hurricane Charlie, even though it was a small storm in Florida, Hurricane Charlie took, I mean, hundreds of those things out. That's one of the biggest things we saw piled up along the sides of the roads during cleanup was those screened-in porch frames that were just removed by Hurricane Charlie. But you know what? Pine Island, I will say, looks pretty good. Now we're going to Matlacha. Here we go. Right over here. Well, seeing some roof damage here. A boat where it shouldn't be up here in the yard. Trees look pretty rough. So a little more damage over here. A little more damage in this area. This is Matlacha. In fact, considerably more damage over here. Isn't that bizarre how just a half a mile over in Pine Island, but it's a little more densely populated in that area, or structures are closer together. And then that can, squeeze that wind in between structures and actually can intensify the wind speed if the direction is right. But there does seem to be a little more damage in this area right here. Let's go take a look here. Oh, wow. That's at the Burt's Bar and Grill area. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Heavy damage. Very heavy damage. Piers are gone. Boat docks. Yeah, very heavy damage in this area. And this is by Burt's Bar and Grill. Burt's Bar and Grill. Pine Island Church. Oh, my goodness. You guys are seeing it firsthand. These images are not old. They're probably less than a day old. Yeah, heavy damage in that area. And you can see the cars driving in to, could be people that, that own these structures, quite possibly live here. And it looks like the road, it's difficult to tell. I don't know. You can't drive through there, can you? There's nothing there. Or at least it's covered with water, but very heavy damage in that part of Pine Island. And that would be Southwest Pine Island Road. Along that road, very heavy damage. But Matlacha, it's kind of intermittent, widespread, in through here. You can see some roof damage here. A lot of roof damage on this home here. Looks like roof damage here and here. Screened in patio survived. That's surprising. Some roof damage on this structure. Looks like part of the screened in structure. This one here looks like it quite possibly took on some damage. Part of it's laying in the water. Roof damage on this home. Significant roof damage, actually. All the way down to the plywood. And then the house next door, fared pretty good. Structure here, roof damage. Significant roof damage there. Look at that place. And of course the screened in patio structure gone. The white you see on the what was once green grass is sand, guys. That's from airborne sand. It's got the entire landscape a different color. You can see this screened in patio structure is gone. A lot of roof damage on that home. Looks like the screened in structures in the water there. Boat up in the yard right there. All the pools are green. That's from the incursion of this water here, salt water. I'm sure there was storm surge here in this area. That's why the boats are up on land in some cases, not all. But quite a bit of damage in that area. Yes, indeed. The boat there's turned upside down. Almost looks like a sailboat. Has a tall mast in the middle. And these boats here, some of them are up on land. That's definitely a sign of storm surge, rising water. Something here. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like a houseboat turned over on its side. Actually, a couple of boats turned over on their side there. Structure there took on major damage. Wow. Roof gone, or 90% gone. Peeled down to the plywood on both of those structures. Here's another one. You can see the brown. The roof is peeled down to the plywood. Look at that. Looks like new construction. Here's another roof. And this would be, there's a boat up in the yard. This is over on the Pine Island area, in the Pine Island area. Boy, that's right in the eye wall. All of this is in the eye wall. There's a 30, 40 mile stretch of land. It made 2 landfalls officially on the Barrier Island, and then of course the mainland, Cape Coral, kind of where it went into. But the right-hand side of that storm, you can see that onshore flow. The offshore flow drained Tampa Bay, just like Irma did. But I don't remember this much damage. Irma did a lot of damage. Yes, of course, Irma was a big, powerful storm. But I don't remember the damage being quite this extensive. I look at this, and it's just like, where do you begin? Getting the sand off the land. All the yards are going to have to be redone. The trees are, I'm sure, like I said, look like they've been through a mechanical sandblaster. Even the homes. I mean, the homes are probably 90% stucco. I know that's very popular in Florida. But still, the sand damage on the windows that survived are going to be pitted from hours of relentless flying airborne sand. Any cars that survived will be pitted from airborne sand. Here's some boats here that are obviously discombobulated. Here's another boat up on the back porch, roof partially gone. Just, very sad. And I'm sorry to everybody that was impacted by this or knows somebody that was. And you know what? We want to help. We really do. We want to at least do our part. If everybody does a little bit of something and we know it goes to help somebody, I'm all for that 100%. You bet. But I don't want to set up some donation fund or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. If you guys know of a way that we can help people in this area, maybe an individual, I don't know. I want to be fair. But I don't want a donation thing. I'm not going to do that because I don't want people saying that it didn't go to the people that were affected. I want it to go directly to the people that were affected, and we can help somebody. I want to help somebody, or as many people as we can. But I don't want donations. We're going to figure out a different way. I want to take you guys. Okay, that was just inside the barrier island where the hurricane made a landfall right in here. That's where we were at. We were right there. That was at the first landfall. Now we're going to go to... Okay, here's how you get on and off Sanibel Island. And I think there's 6,000 or 7,000 folks that live out here on Sanibel Island. You can tell that these homes were built with hurricanes in mind. As you can tell, that roof there has got significant damage, and that's a heavy tile roof. Because they're still standing, and the roofs for the most part are still on. This home here is gone. Look at that, completely gone. There's tennis courts there that are now predominantly white, covered with white sand. The structure is gone. But for the most part, these homes have what is known as a hurricane code. They have to be built up to a certain strength. There's straps that go on the roof rafters, and there's a certain type of hurricane strap that was designed, and they use those, and it keeps the roofs from becoming airborne. It's not going to hold under the most extreme, but this is about as extreme as it can get. And if these homes were not built with these certain hurricane code specifications, the roofs would not be on them. There's no way, not after the size and strength, and especially the long duration of that storm. You can see this tree here. There's a collection of trees that have just been through it. They're going to have to be replaced. Again, these are aesthetic things that, this is a nice area, and these trees are now gone. They're going to have to be removed. I know that's not a priority, but at some point, that's just another thing that's going to have to be done. You can see debris over here just everywhere, and these trees, again, along the landscape. The landscape is just in tatters, from the high wind. It looks like possibly a slab here, concrete slab. That tells us there was a structure there that's no longer there. And notice all the drain canals, not canals, but troughs from the water running off. The island took on a significant amount of storm surge. Don't know how much. I'm sure, there's estimates, but you can see here where the water ran off. And it took with it topsoil. You can see the brown channels going back out into the water. Some of them are much bigger than they were before the landfall of the storm. There's that golf course again. This is South Sanibel Island. And the eye wall went right up in here to Fort Myers. We haven't even gotten to Punta Gorda. Up here's Fort Myers. And then Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda are up here. These were on the outflow side for a while. The eye wall came in, and this was the winds going out, and they were equally as strong. But I don't think they received the amount of storm surge like they saw here in the Fort Myers area. And we're just going to kind of start here in Fort Myers and just kind of work our way around. Again, this area saw significant flooding, very, very high winds. Wind gusts. I mean, the sustained winds were, honestly, I'm not sure. There's a boat turned over, actually several boats, once again, completely out of place, way up on land. Here's some boats here, and that's from high storm surge. The boats floated up there, and that's where they landed when the water retreated. So that's what that's from. So that tells you right there, the storm surge. There's the concrete. And it lifted the boat way up there, so probably 10 feet. I'm just guessing. I don't know. You can kind of look at the lay of the land and see what's going on with floating structures, and they'll kind of tell you how far the water went in by where they landed. We're in the Fort Myers area, and same scenario. You know, these trees at some point, you know, will have to be replaced. If they survived, I don't know. They were in the middle of a very powerful Category 4 hurricane that was throwing sand everywhere. And you can see that these piers here, they're gone underwater, and that the heavy water weight, you know, they couldn't take the just hour after hour of the water weight. It wasn't the wind, it was the water weight. You can see this one here. Broken away from the land. Looks like the house did pretty good. Got some roof damage over here on the south and western or eastern side, which stands to reason. That was in the strongest part of the storm. But hurricane code, you could see these homes that still have rooftops. If they didn't have those hurricane straps, I believe that's what they're called, the hurricane straps. They did it right. There's a place called Hurricane Charlie's. I'm going to try to take you guys to that place. It's up here in Fort Myers. I'm not quite sure where it's at, but it is no longer there. And it was, I believe it was conceived after Hurricane Charlie, and they named this little place after Hurricane Charlie. It's not there anymore. It's here along the coastal waterway. I think this is the, let me try to pronounce this. Here's a long word. Caloosahatchee River. And then there's the Peace River up here. Both of the, I don't know about the Caloosahatchee, but the Peace River set a new record for storm, for flood stage. I think by 2 feet. I'm going to try to find Hurricane Charlie's. I'll show you a before and after. It's gone. It's no longer there. I'll get to that here in a minute. We're just kind of working around the Fort Myers area. This area here down by Fort Myers Beach took on substantial, look at this area here. I mean, it's just in tatters. What do you do? Where do you start? Where would you start with something like that? Where would you start? What would you do? I mean, what if that was your home, you know? I feel bad for those people. I really do. But this is the world that we live in. You know, it's forces of nature. And the forces of nature are strong. You know, they've always been strong. You know, there's been big hurricanes even back in the late 1800s. But these types of coastal areas and coastal communities weren't as densely populated as they are today. So they're having a bigger impact on humanity because of, you know, the dense populated areas along the coast, and people want to live in these areas. It's a beautiful place to live until, you know, a big hurricane comes rolling in, and then It just goes from one extreme to another. Here's another boat up on land. But this is an absolutely beautiful part of the earth. And it will be again someday. Right now, obviously everything's in disarray. Just went through a very large... Those look like... What? Are those slabs or struck? Those are slabs. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my. Huh. It will be again someday. It's going to be a while. A lot of work here, and these folks are going to need a lot of help. Look at this area here. The roof's gone, so more than likely that was an old structure that may not have been built during the new building codes when they come up with these hurricane straps. I remember when they did that. It was something that was a big deal back in I want to say 2004. Could have been prior, but I remember those were the new standard hurricane straps on roofs. But this one here, the roof did not survive, and everything is just in complete disarray for the most part. Again, you look at that, it looks like a tornado went through there. It really does. Looks like a tornado went through here. Look at the boats up on. Look at the size of those boats. Do you know how much water it would have taken to move just those two boats right there? I mean, those boats are huge. That's a 50-foot yacht. Two of them up on the road. Boats over here on the other side of the road. So that tells you water came up from here and carried this boat all the way over here across the road. Wow. Again, these are new images, guys. Here's boats way over here. That's a large boat that was carried from here across the road all the way over to here. Look at that. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just right there in that area. I don't know what we've got going on over here. I mean, it's just stuff strewn for miles. Like I said, like a hurricane or like a tornado went through this area. And I know there were tornadoes associated with this storm. In the far outer bands there were. Now, tornadoes, it would probably be pretty difficult to detect a tornado in the eye wall or near the eye wall of a hurricane. That would be pretty tough because it's like a tornado anyway, in some regards with the wind gusts. When they say 150 mile an hour winds, those aren't necessarily sustained winds, but the storm would contain wind gusts of that strength. Sanibel Seafood. Again, you can see boats just all over the place, some on land. You can tell several that got loose. Majority of them did get loose. And then this here, where do you start? This is Olson Marine Service, and there's boats over on land on top of the building. Boat there near Main Street, a boat on Main Street. And then these, they look like modular homes. You can tell they're all in disarray. They were all moved, more than likely, by the water. Water is very strong. That's why we use water for dams and build these big reservoirs to create power stations, hydro stations to generate power, because water is very strong. So it can easily move a structure, a boat, a house, doesn't matter. Water is strong if there's enough of it. And this had the full weight of the Gulf of Mexico behind it, or at least part of it. Look at these big boats. Oh, wow. Wow, it's just unbelievable. Look at those boats. They're packed in there, just one on top of the other. Oh, wow, I haven't seen this one yet. Look at that. Again, guys, these are new images. Look at this unbelievable Key West Express. Wow. Okay, I'm going to show you guys exactly where we are. We are just on the east side. Okay, this is Fort Myers Beach. So there's Fort Myers Beach. We're just behind where the Fort Myers Beach meets the Gulf of Mexico. Right here, this is called Matanzas Pass. Matanzas Pass. And again, you know, where do you begin? Where do you start? It's just overwhelming. Look at this building here. You can see the center of this building. That looks like a place that houses boats. Oh yeah, it is. That's a dry dock area. And what a dry dock is folks will, and since it's October, you know, people that maybe come down for the winter months, maybe dry dock their boats during the summer, and then come down and get their boats in the winter when they come down, and stay in Florida during the winter. So they'll put their boats in what's called dry storage, dry dock. And that's what that is. You can see the boats, they're usually like 3 high, 1, 2, 3, and they look to still be there. Now over here, there's some boats on the ground. You can see inside the facility, there's boats kind of scattered around in there. But I'm amazed that those boats are still in their racks. That's like 3 tall. I bet that'd be about 30 feet high. The roof is gone. Looks like the sidewall is gone, if there is one. And there's a boat there on the ground. But for the most part, those boats are still in the dry dock. That's amazing. These are not, however. Those are sailboats. See the tall mast on those? Those are sailboats. There's another sailboat. Strewn all over the place through here. One on its side right there. Just all over. Where do you begin? I'm not sure what that is. I don't even want to speculate on what that is. I don't know what that is. Look at this here. This is called ebb tide. H-row, G-row, I-row. It's like some sort of a community. Not sure the exact name of the community. But you can clearly see that I would say at one time this area was full. I don't think there would be vacancies like this sitting in this beautiful part of the world. Those structures are gone. That's an empty slab there where there was once a structure. Now there's a boat sitting over here where there was once probably a modular home. We have boats intermixed with modular homes in through here. There's like a modular home on its side. And then some that are just completely gone. They're not there anymore. Concrete slabs. They're just gone. So, you know, that's the sad part. You know, if your home was there, where do you go, you know, after that, you know? And I did a live stream during the landfall of the storm, you know, and oh wow, that is sad. You can see that the debris has piled up over here. That's probably a home that was over here, you know, and the wind and water, the water weight, water strength carried it over here. And that's probably what we're seeing here. Everything kind of piled up. Look at that, yeah. Everything kind of piled up over here. But more than likely it was inundated. Oh, wow. Look at that. Unbelievable. Probably they were, you know, water saturated. They wouldn't even be salvageable. Total loss. Oh, my. So, you know, you have to, you feel for these people. I know I do. I have compassion for people. And I do care. I just don't know what to do. Where do you begin? Where do you begin? There's another area that, you know, was heavily hit. I will say the roofs, for the most part. Now, this area here, right here on Emily Lane, that structure is gone, and the one next to it is gone. The one next to it survived, and those survived. They took on a little bit of roof damage, but as you can see, most of the roofs are still attached to the structure. And if the roof went, it looks like the structure went. So that goes back to that. There's a boat there on Shrimp Boat Lane. Okay, we looked at that Sanibel Seafood. Wow, it's just overwhelming. Where do you start? And that's in the Fort Myers beach area, and you can tell where the strongest part of the storm, I mean, it just like skinned the island of everything, with the exception of some of these very strong villas, Captiva villas, Sanibel View villas. Everything looks sandy white because of the new sand, the airborne sand, which in itself is going to be difficult to get rid of out of any structures, and just in general, there's sand everywhere. And any type of motor that took in sand is not going to work anymore. No, sand it will quickly destroy a motor. Oh, quickly. Look at this area here, Estero Boulevard. That was more than likely storm surge. Side effect of storm surge. Those buildings, there were some probably right here that are no longer there, and then right through here, looks like a few, don't know how many, next to a Best Western Plus beach resort. Something next to it, looks like the Best Western is for the most part still standing, but everything around it, with the exception of these over here, and one of those is gone. See that one right there? Wow. Again, where do you start? And people driving around here, I'm sure they're asking the same thing. Where would you even start? This here, difficult to say. It looks like quite possibly some villas or something that part of them are gone. Roof came off of that one. Roof came off of all those. And see, that's probably, look at the roof came off of that. Or no, that's actually the roof, because that's an AC unit. It's a flat roof. But this structure right here, roof completely gone. It's just in shambles. Yeah, where do you begin? Look at this over here. Again, we're in the Fort Myers beach area. This would be the area, one of the areas that was the hardest hit. That roof took on severe damage. You know, the roofs that didn't go completely off are going to have to be completely replaced. So these roofs over here did pretty well for the most part. You have a structure here that, where do you start? That's a debris field full of who knows, everything. Probably shingles, 2x4s, insulation, furniture. Wow. That's a modular home right there. Look, in the water, going up on another look. That is a modular home right there that it was floating through here, and it landed right here on the backside of this structure. Oh my goodness. Never seen anything like it. Roof right there peeled off down to the plywood. I go down a little farther. Now this area here, a little farther down, looks like it may have, well, now there's a lot of debris. It's Palmero Circle. Palmero Circle is where we're looking at now. You can see debris just everywhere. But the roofs are, for the most part, still intact. Maybe a little bit of damage on some of the rooftops, but not all of them. That roof right there took on heavy damage. This roof right here took on heavy damage because it peeled it down all the way to the plywood. You can see plywood there. Oh, wow. 7-Eleven. I don't know. Most of the damage here you can see would have been from, because it's right there along the coast, water intrusion. Water just would have washed it away. You know, it would have compromised the structure, and then the structure would have gave way to the strength of the onshore water flow. You can see the water flow right there come through here. That place is gone. There's nothing there. The building's gone. Look at that. It's no longer there. I'm by Mojo's Coffee Cafe, Avenue E, I Street, Hooters, Alva Drive, Carolina Avenue, this area right here, you can tell it took on heavy water. And then it washed back out to sea, and you can see it's still draining. And it was draining at the time these images were taken. See it draining? That's one thing about islands. They do drain quickly. And they were draining at the time these photos were taken. Look at that. Continuing on down, we're still on the Fort Myers beach area. Wow. A lot of sand. You can see the sand strewn everywhere. And that sand gets inside pools, and if it gets inside, you know, boat motors, any type of motor. Something right there looks like a big void again. You know, there's structures that appear to be missing. It's difficult to say. There's some structures there that appear to be missing. Usually you don't have a wide vacancy right there when it comes to beachfront property. Beachfront property is some of the most sought after property in the world. So to have an open lot there, there, and there's 4. And there's 3 there. Couple here at least. Yeah, there's several there. They were more than likely washed away, the structures. Look at all these. See all these open lots here? Hercules Drive. Look at that. Hibiscus Drive. A lot of open lots. You don't find open lots along beachfront property anywhere in the world. Those structures were more than likely washed away. Big time storm surge inundation, especially here. It's still draining at the time these photos were taken. I wanted to check and see, do they have Naples on here? I heard Naples mentioned many times with regard to storm surge. Here's Naples. Let's look around. Marco Island. Honestly, I haven't been here yet. It's my first time looking around in the Naples area. I heard there was a storm surge component down here, but I haven't seen anything yet. So far, looking at the rooftops of things, even the trees down here look better. They don't look tattered, tattered to shreds. Still looking around, of course. I don't know if they took on storm surge. I'm sure they took on some. Port Royal, Royal Harbor. Just kind of looking around, guys, to see what happened down here. Here's what we got going on here. Is that a new entryway? New pass? I don't know if it's new, but see all the white sand going in there? That's from the storm surge pushing in new sand. We're down closer to Naples, and I'm not seeing any. I'm sure there's some down here. I just haven't found it yet. I saw a photo somewhere of storm surge in the Naples area, and I don't know if you guys can confirm or deny that, but for the majority, I see a little bit of wind damage here on some rooftops. Could be just the color of the tile. I don't know. But for the most part, you don't see debris everywhere. You don't see white sand. You can still see green grass. You can still see the greenery along the coast. You don't see debris and especially the white sand. So look, see here's a golf course compared to the one we just saw over on Sanibel Island. See how it's green? So there definitely wasn't a sand component here at all. The golf course we just looked at on Sanibel Island was white. So that tells you the difference from down here in Naples to up here in Fort Myers and especially Sanibel Island. This area was totally hit the hardest. Look, Cape Coral. The land looks white from space, from satellite. You can tell a lot of sand was dropped here, even though, like this roof here, those are probably solar panels. That's not roof damage per se. That's a solar panel system on top of that house. Cape Coral, a little bit of roof damage on that one. You can see the discoloration, a few shingles missing here and there, but this is southeast 25th tier. A little bit of roof damage there, understandably so. It was right in the path of the eye wall, but not necessarily in the strongest part of the eye wall. The closer you go to the coast, which is what we're doing, you can see the whiter the ground gets. Look how white the ground is getting. That's because of the new sand. Sand is just strewn everywhere. You can see it here, getting more and more sand. Airborne sand. It was aloft for hours. In fine particulate form, you know. Still it accumulated like snow. Change the color of the surface of the ground. It's not dark green anymore. Even the rooftops, you can see the rooftops have a slightly different shade. But overall, Cape Coral, compared to Fort Myers, looks pretty good. I did want to look at Port Charlotte. Let's check it out. And someone asked about Port Charlotte, which is, I think, right up here. Punta Gorda. I think there was a crane system right here that, yeah, see it? Because they took on very strong winds on the counterclockwise north end of the eye wall. So these winds would have been coming, at least for a while, from east to west. And you can see these tall cranes that are now laying down on top of these structures. See the cranes right there? They're mangled like wet spaghetti noodles. See that? Here's another one. See the crane laying there? Obviously those are going to take on high winds, have some debris strewn around here, and I'm sure there's a lot more in Punta Gorda. I don't think they got the storm surge though. In this area, see debris littered everywhere along the coast, or at least in concentrated areas right there next to the building. Of course, that looks like a construction project, so there's going to be debris sitting around in various places of, you know, things that they're using to work on this building. So now, you know, that all has to be replaced, and who knows, you know, obviously the cranes are going to have to be replaced. Again, you know, it's just where do you start? But compared to the Fort Myers area, that was Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte. Sure, the power grid over here, I do remember someone saying the power grid over here needed completely restructured in the Port Charlotte area. But I will say, compared to Fort Myers, look at these boats, see? Prime example. Those boats look, for the most part, undisturbed, right? That's not what you see down by Fort Myers. Everything looks pretty decent, really, compared to Fort Myers. The boat docks look pretty good, have a high storm surge. Then those boat docks are going to get bent. You know, they're going to get lifted up out of their comfort zone, and then they break. And that's how they get compromised. The rising water, too much rising water. They're built with rising water in mind. That's why a lot of those are flotation docks. Some of them are, not all of them. But they're built with high tide in mind, you know, because the tide comes in and out all day, every day. But Punta Gorda, I mean, honestly, compared to Fort Myers, looks pretty good. There's some areas, though, that took on some high wind. That right-hand counterclockwise motion up in this area, there were some strong wind gusts. Oh, here's Hurricane Charlie's. I heard that Hurricane Charlie's is no longer there, so I want to look. So Hurricane Charlie's would be right here by Harborside Avenue. I want to go to Google Earth and look that up. That's in right along the coast of Punta Gorda. Let's go check it out, okay? Because I heard it wasn't there. So that would be right here by my cursor, Hurricane Charlie's, which would be right here. Yes. So let's go back to the imagery. Oh, it's still there. Okay, good. This Hurricane Charlie's is there. I heard where there's another Hurricane Charlie's, a smaller little area, I think down here at Fort Myers, that got washed away. That one there's doing good, still intact, and that's good to see. But looking from space, looking down at the landscape from this satellite, you can clearly see the areas that really took the brunt of the storm. You can see boats here, and we're down again. This would be on the right-hand side of the storm. The storm came in like this, went right up into Shell Point, Punta Rasa, right up in here. Obviously, Fort Myers Beach, I would say this little area right here took the strongest part of the storm based off of what I'm seeing. And then up into Fort Myers, there's a Calusa. What's this? A Calusa Yacht Club. Let's check it out. Homes in here look solid. They were probably built with, the hurricane code in mind. I think all these homes have to be built that way. And those homes look pretty good, considering a Category 4 went right over their heads. They were in it. And I kept waiting to go into the eye wall of the storm. Those of you guys that shared that day with me, we were watching the storm come inland, and we never got into the eye wall. It was just hour after hour after hour of just unbelievable, and it didn't seem to let up. Unbelievable winds, and you could see the water flying through the air, and some of it was probably sand that we were seeing intermixed with the flying water. Okay, we're along the coast of the Caloosahatchee River, right along the shoreline, I should say. And these homes, again, I can't get right up close, but up here from a bird's eye view, they don't look like they've sustained the amount of damage that we see in the Fort Myers Beach area. Obviously, there's some debris strewn around, but for the most part, these structures look to be intact. I know there's going to be areas where they're not, like right here. You can see the roof compromised on this very large home. That place there looks pretty good. You have some random debris. Looks like they probably lost, if they had one, and most of these places do. There's a boat up in the backyard. Looks like their screened in patio structure's gone. See right there, that one's still intact. Don't know how, but it is. Tells you it's well built. Good job. Well, a lot of these are not. There's a boat up here in the front yard, and a lot of debris. Debris here. This looks like, I don't know. It's like a business, kind of. I don't know. There's a wall there laying down. That looks like a pool that's now brown. So that tells you there was probably storm surge in this area as well. That little pool there looks like an above ground pool, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say. But it's one of the few pools that I've seen that are still blue. Okay, where are we? I gotta get my bearings here. Okay, we are in Iona. Just kind of looking around, guys. This is my first time going into these areas too. These images are new to me. Okay, well, this area here took on substantial damage. You can see the debris just everywhere. Structures, not all, but some of them are still standing, but see debris just everywhere. Roof gone off of that one. Debris, debris, and more debris. Where do you start? And you know what, guys? One thing I was going to do, I was going to, not necessarily this specific hurricane, but there hasn't been that many hurricanes this year that, you know, you could storm chase or whatever. I was going to take you guys to the landfall. Part of me wishes I was here to help, you know, but I wouldn't have wanted to tangle with this storm here, especially in the direct eye wall. This storm here was very dangerous. It really was. Obviously, you can see all the homes and structures. They all tell the same story. You can still see water standing through here. It's that brown, murky water going all up and down this road. And that's something, too. You want to stay out of that water if you can help it. Don't walk in that. Yeah, areas there still flooded. Look at here. Look at all this. Look at all the standing water. Look. Serious? I am not surprised. There was a lot more than that way up over the roads. But the lay of the land is a little bit different here. You can tell there's a shallow spot right here that's below sea level. This area right here, if you had a surveyor out there, they'd tell you that area is below sea level. That's why the water's still there. It hasn't drained off yet. All this area here is. Look at all the water still standing. Wow. Cars underwater. Look at that. What is that? All this area. See all the standing water? That tells you that this area right here, Point Breeze Drive, Windcrest Drive, look at the water there up in front of these homes. That's under sea level. That's what happened in 2005 with Hurricane Katrina. That's what happened. The water breached the levee, and behind the levee was below sea level. And that's what you're seeing right here. It may not be much, 2 or 3 feet, but for the water not to have drained out already, then that tells you that it's a little more shallow there. There's some roof damage. Can't see the debris because of the water, but I'm sure there's plenty. Roof damage here. That roof is partially gone. Looks like that left-hand side of the roof is gone. Looks like rafters, exposed rafters. Again, more water over here in the Sanibel Outlets area. This is a shopping plaza, and you can see that the parking lot is still underwater. Still underwater. And these images were probably taken, I don't know exactly, I'd say within 36 hours of the landfall. Made landfall and then nightfall, so these were taken sometime the following day, I think. Notice the white sand up in here in the parking lot. See all the sand that was deposited there by wind and by water. Look at all that sand. All that has to be removed. Anybody that has a swimming pool here will have to be completely drained. And if their systems are full of sand, then those are going to have to be reworked, replaced, who knows. It's just an unbelievable sight. So the wind damage looks like it was predominantly in the Fort Myers area. The wind damage, the double component, wind damage and storm surge. Look at these rooftops. A lot of heavy damage through here. Heavy damage. Those places are heavily damaged as well. Heavy damage. Where do you start? You know, majority of these places that did survive, they took on floodwaters. Look at all the debris over here along the intercoastal waterway, or whatever this reservoir over here is. I mean, that's definitely low priority, but that's all going to need cleaned up at some point. It's just loaded with siding and shingles and probably insulation. Again, very low priority, but it's something that's going to have to be... I'm not sure what we've got going on here. Look, there's something... What is that? I don't know. Something laying in the parking lot in the middle of this. Looks like a... I don't know, some sort of a plaza? Business center, big white thing laying there in the middle of the... Another one here. What is that? It's there's no telling. It's a big whirlwind in here for the longest time, for hours and hours. We watched it. There's another area, things kind of strewn around. Relocated, repositioned, a boat, multiple boats. Look at all these boats here. Look at this. Just up on the road. It's just amazing. Kelly, Kelly commented, they just added 126 Starlink satellites too. And I saw where they were donating Starlink satellite systems to people here in this area, which I thought was really cool. They're giving you... Starlink satellites work like this. Starlink satellite systems, it's an internet service, and in order to get the internet, you have to have this dish, and the dish is like a satellite dish, only it's square. And from what I understand, I've read about it a little bit, you plug it in, you point it to the sky, and there are so many, as you all well know, we're always seeing Starlink satellites being orbited, or launched into orbit, and yeah, there's a lot. There's a few thousand. But anyway, those are for an internet service for supposedly people that are in rural areas, or, you know, obviously we're learning that it's working out in a situation like this, you know, where people don't... Look at this, all these vacant... Where they don't have internet. They don't have power in some cases. But those that do have power, that can plug in their satellite dish, it's a square, again, it's a rectangle, point it to the sky, connect your device to that. You can't just connect it to the satellite. You have to connect to the satellite through the Starlink dish, which again, it's not a dish, it's a square. And it was very nice of them to donate. I don't know how many they donated, but they donated a bunch so people can have at least internet. So yeah, you're right, Kelly, and that's pretty cool. Gwendolyn, go to Naples. I did. I'm going to go back down there again, Gwendolyn. We're going to check on Naples again because I saw some big-time flooding down in Naples. Or at least I saw pictures. Go south from the pier to see the barrier islands. All right. We'll do that. Gwendolyn, Clam Pass has mangroves. Check it out. Thank you, Gwendolyn. And thank you. Looks like Gwendolyn donated. I don't have my thing up. I should have it up. Cape Coral, no mangroves. Random Appalachian American female. Can you look at Midway Boulevard of Port Charlotte? I sure will. if I can find it. Emotional wellness. Can you look at Mayaka River, flooded and closed I-75? I'll check it out. Mayaka River, and I want to check out Naples for sure, because I saw a picture down there, and those of you that have donated, thank you. My thing over here is not, it's stuck. I need to refresh it. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm going to check out Naples right now. Where are we going? We're going to Naples. Somebody told me. Let's check it out. But anyway, right here, this vacant lot, or at least it looks vacant. Again, down here in this community, I doubt that those lots were always vacant prior to the storm. Like over here, see all this movement? There's a lot of empty lots here. Not sure what that is, but kind of rare to see any type of vacant lots near a coastline, especially in Florida. See how close these little places are together? That's an RV resort. Honestly, they're still standing. Compared to some, they're still standing. I do see some damage in here, like that roof there looks damaged. This one here looks damaged. Looks like moderate damage throughout here, some major damage through here. It's just kind of very intermittent. Here's the front line, and these took the brunt. You can totally tell. Major damage. That one there moved off of its foundation, more than likely by water. Major damage through there, total loss. Wow. I'm sorry, guys. I know that. It's just not good. Not a good situation. Okay. I'm going to go down to Naples one more time. Okay. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of damage down here, and I know there was an area that took on a considerable amount of storm surge. At least that's what the photo said. Maybe the photo was wrong, or I just haven't found it, but Naples looks, from here, even the parking lots, you don't see any white sand anywhere. You don't see any signs of extreme high winds. You know, everything looks, for the most part, pretty good. I'm sure they took on heavy rain, but that's not anything new. Yeah, I'm not seeing it down here, guys, at least any major damage, and that's good. I don't want to see any down here, but I did see a photo of what looked like storm surge in Naples. Even right here, close to the ocean. Now that there looks like maybe the roof is exposed. Definitely looks like the roof is exposed, but where's the debris? Where did it go? Should be laying like right in here, unless that's just the style of the roof, maybe. I don't know, but that roof, to me, yeah, you can see the rafters. Huh. And that's the only one in the area that's missing? Maybe that's new construction or something. It's kind of weird. You don't see any debris on the ground, and you see a roof that's totally rafters there on the left-hand side of the structure. compared to Fort Myers, Naples is looking pretty good, at least where I'm looking at, which is great. Glad to see that. Okay, somebody was asking about the Mayaca, or where was it? Let me take a look. Pine Island. I'll go back to Pine Island. We actually started at Pine Island, but I will go back there. Pine Island took on pretty heavy wind and storm surge. Midway Boulevard area of Port Charlotte. Okay. That's where we're going. Oh, right there we are. Okay, cool. Okay, here's Port Charlotte. Now, this is by request. Midway Boulevard. I have no idea where Midway Boulevard's at. Looks like a nice community, though. I lived in Florida for a while, but I never did make it to Port Charlotte. I never made it to Fort Myers or Naples. I did get to Tampa a few times. Okay, Midway. See if I can Google this. There it is. Here we go. We're going to Midway Boulevard. Now I know where it's at. Gotcha. Check out something here just real quick, guys. Yeah, I'm double checking here around Naples. I know I saw a photo of storm surge in Naples, and it could have been labeled incorrectly. It wasn't sent to me, I just happened to see it. But I don't see any signs of it on here, which is good. Okay, I'm going to go to Port Charlotte real quick, and then we'll go to Pine Island again. Pine Island is right in this area here, and we'll go there. Okay, Midway is just north. There it is right here. Here's Midway Boulevard. All right, here you go. Midway Boulevard in Port Charlotte. I am seeing some damage, as you can see right there. And you know what that is? I can actually identify that. See right here, that white line? That is or what's left of, a white picket fence. And more than likely, that is those acrylic. They're very lightweight. Those are acrylic picket fences, and they're white, typically 6 foot tall. They're for privacy. And people use them because you don't have to paint them. That's why they're used, and they're very easy to install. But they're lightweight, and they're not going to withstand any type of strong wind, and that's what we're looking at there. That's a white fence. That's not off of a roof. You see some white fencing there. So that's going to come down even in a strong thunderstorm with straight line winds. However, that's not the case over here. You can see part of a roof missing. Again, this is along Midway Boulevard in Port Charlotte. Here's another roof missing. Look at that. Seeing some strong damage up here in the Port Charlotte area. Another roof missing. Port Charlotte. We are along Midway Boulevard in Port Charlotte. Seeing some rooftops, at least peeled down to the plywood. Look at that. That's like a flat roof, maybe? It's hard to tell. Another green pool, instant green from the... Here, that's another fence. That's that acrylic fencing. Again, real easy to install. Roof peeled off there. Kind of looks like a roof peeled off there. It looks brown, right? Yeah, down to the plywood. Here's part of a roof peeled off. Again, this is in the Port Charlotte area. Now, these guys here, they were not messing around. They've already got the blue tarp on. Remember the blue tarp cities, partial cities, turned into blue tarp rooftops. Man, I can remember several. After Katrina, it was like that for a while. Irma was like that for a while, and we'll probably see that here as well. Another rooftop partially gone there. Several over here. So heavy damage in the Port Charlotte area along Midway Boulevard. Look at that, peeled down. That one there, heavy damage down to the plywood. Damage there, down to the plywood. That one, a little bit of damage down to the plywood. I'm surprised that pool canopy survived. That's those screened in, very lightweight canopies. Screened in porches. Down to the plywood. Wow. A lot of high winds through here. Down to the plywood. Down to the plywood. Again, this is Midway Boulevard in Port Charlotte. Heavy damage. Guarantee you there's no power there. Or at least I wouldn't think there would be looking at some of these rooftops. Heavy damage. Rooftops peeled down to the plywood. So you know you could ask their neighbor, their roof stayed intact and theirs didn't. So that could be telling of the contractor that installed the roof. Just saying. This one survived and that one didn't. So, and the one next to it survived. So it's just common logic. What we got going on over here? Don't know. So a lot of damage widespread throughout the Port Charlotte area. You can see several rooftops peeled down to the plywood. So those are going to have to be completely replaced. Here's the blue tarps already starting to come out. Those people got those on quick. I remember cities just loaded with hundreds and hundreds. And this will be the same because this just shows you how new these photos are. They were taken right after, as soon as they were able to. And people hadn't even had a chance to get blue tarps up yet. But this one here needs a blue tarp because the shingles that protect the inside of the home are gone. They're compromised, or at least a big part of them are gone. So they'll have to have blue tarp on that one there to keep water from coming in just from any type of localized light rain. This one here, the roof is completely compromised, or at least half of it is. You can see the inside of the home. That looks like it goes out to the backyard. There's the pool, front yard driveway, and right through the center and back part of the home, there's no roof. It's gone. Just unbelievable. That's going to need a tarp. That's going to need a tarp. All of these over here will need tarps. It's going to be very reminiscent of Irma, Katrina. I remember the blue tarps from Katrina. That one's going to need a tarp. That one there looks perfect. So whoever did the roof there, they did a good job. Look at there, two big trees laying. That house is completely covered almost with giant trees. The white panels you see here are acrylic picket fences. They're starting to get the tarp up here on this house. I'm sure by now most of these are covered with blue tarps. The giant trees, the ground got saturated, the trees got saturated, and it didn't take much to blow them over once they become saturated. Another tarp, they got right on it. Because if it rains, see the blue tarps? If it rains and your roof is compromised, then it's going to saturate the inside of the house if it's not already saturated. Blue tarps there. Quite a bit of damage here in Port Charlotte along Midway Boulevard. That would be west of I-75, and we were on that I-75 corridor during the storm, so we were kind of looking in this direction via our camera, you know, and it was very, very intense through here for a long period of time. Roof damage here. That's definitely going to need a tarp replacement. Full roof replacement there. Full roof replacement there. A lot of roof damage here in the Port Charlotte area. Folks already got the blue tarps up. And there were blue tarps all over Orlando when Hurricane Charlie went through. And Hurricane Charlie was small. It was a strong storm, but it was a very small, concentrated storm. That roof there is going to need completely replaced. These homes here, these three, possibly four, will need blue tarps. A lot of roof damage along Midway Boulevard in Port Charlotte. And we were on this webcam right here, looking this way towards the harbor. We were looking in this direction. We were, in fact, I think we were looking right at Port Charlotte. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I knew we were looking towards the harbor, but it was difficult to get your bearings during the peak of the storm. All you could see was wind and rain. Wow, a lot of roof damage in the Port Charlotte area. Wow, where do you begin? Look at all the roof damage here. Not surprised. Wow. And this was on the right-hand side of the storm, up in here. This part. Just loaded with power, and it was coming in right up here. When it made landfall, this is the part of the storm that got up in here. This part. Man, it was just steamrolling. Okay, Pine Island. Here's Pine Island, guys. Someone asked for Pine Island. There's mangroves. Here, let's see. This is I don't think we've been to this section of Pine Island, and you can see a large part of that roof there, nearly 50% gone. This is on Pine Island. I'm sure there's no power. That roof there looks like it's down to the plywood. Structure there looks like the roof is compromised. We'll need a full replacement. Roof partially gone there. A lot of damage up in the Port Charlotte area. In fact, there's more roof damage in the Port Charlotte area than you see here. Now these rooftops look damaged. You can see shingles missing, but they held on. See all the debris on the ground? Those are shingles, probably tile. Those are heavy. They are. They're very heavy. Very dangerous flying projectiles. But those roofs, yeah, definitely will need, look at that, they're just peeled off, will need replaced. Surprised that the screened in back patio is still standing. I really am. Charlie took out hundreds and hundreds of those things. Pine Island Center, okay, we've been there. Of course, it's not as densely populated here as it is up in the Port Charlotte area. Big house there has a lot of damage around the property. Damage here, not a lot, but you can see some back here in the back, like the screened in patio may have fallen. You can see the roof peeled off here down to the plywood in most areas, or a big part of the roof. Flamingo Bay. Wow, substantial damage here. My first time coming here, guys. You can see buildings just completely moved sideways, all different directions. Wow, I have not been here yet. Substantial damage in Flamingo Bay. Boats up on dry land. You can tell this place took on a tremendous amount of storm surge. A lot of damage through here. It's my first time coming here. We're in the Flamingo Bay area of Pine Island? Yes. Pine Island here, and we're down here in Flamingo Bay now. I haven't been here until just right now with you guys. There's a lot of area to cover. In fact, I'm not going to get to it all. I'm going to have to look at that. That looks like a total loss, whatever this place was. There's no roof. Wow. And these trees, look at those. They're just bare, they look like bare twigs, just mangled together. They were just so thrashed. And by salt water to boot. So the saturation come from salt water, which they're not really wanting salt water, right? A lot of damage here in Flamingo Bay. I'm not surprised. Took the brunt of the eye wall. From what I understand, at this point, calling it the 4th largest storm to impact U.S. Land, Florida or anywhere in the U.S., the 4th largest storm. And that's the preliminary assumption based off of, you know, the data that was collected, and not all the data came in. We don't know the extent of the full extent of what this storm did. It's just starting to see it right now. And there were some gauges that probably, you know, unofficial gauges in rural parts of the state, you know, where they could have measured much more rainfall that will never be known. You know, that's why I say it's not like they have gauges and meters over every square inch of land where there's a roof there down to the plywood. So the full magnitude will probably never be known. And it will take years to get this back to safe and functional communities and waterways. Wow. Again, this is the Flamingo Bay area. Heavy damage. Wow. Moonshine Acres. Just kind of going around different places, guys. And then we're going to go back to where we started, right down here. For those of you that did not see this, this is down on the Fort Myers beach area. And this is a part I didn't look at, but you can just totally see that this just says it all. The storm surge here was about as bad as it can get. It's kind of blended everything on the ground together. I would say everything in here is a total loss. You just have to start from scratch, you know, and just completely rebuild. Look at that. Right there, everything is just piled up together into one big pile. Can't even really tell what that was. There's more boats down here that are strewn around from the high waters, and then you come up here and you can see the boats that were lifted out of this marina and placed right up here. You really can't even tell that those are boats. There you go. All right, guys, that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to share that with you guys in case you hadn't seen it. These are new images, and there's going to be more to come. This is just in the landfall area. I guess we can go up here to Daytona Beach. These are new. These are brand new photos out of the Daytona Beach area. Did they take on, I knew they took on some record rainfall. Did they get high winds? Doesn't really look that bad. I mean, I know they got near record rainfall in Daytona, but that was what was unique about this storm. The storm surge in Jacksonville, Florida, 200 miles away from the landfall of the storm. It was just so incredibly big. Yeah, but Daytona looks pretty good, but it was impacted. Both sides of the coast were impacted by this storm. And then, of course, down in the Keys. We can look at that later, but that's where we're at, guys, with the landfall. This is what happened when the major storm made landfall in a very densely populated area. Nothing good, for sure. Nothing good. If any of you guys know of any way that we could maybe help a family, a couple families, whatever the case may be. I don't want to set up a donation thing. I don't want to do that, but you know, we should all help if we can. I don't know how. I'm a couple thousand miles away, but if we can do something that would directly help somebody, you know, like today, there are people that need things today. There was a guy that said that, you know, many people left here, that maybe this area right here, with nothing but the clothes on their back, you know, and now they don't have a home to come back to. It's very sad. So we'll be looking for ways to help. At least I know I will be, moving forward. These people need help, and we're going to try to step up and do what we can to help them. And I don't want to just donate money, because we don't know that that's going to go directly to these people right here that need the help. So we'll figure it out. Something we're going to work on here for the next couple days, but this is going to be an ongoing event. It's going to take years to get this place back to the way it was. I don't think it'll ever be the same, but it's going to take a long time. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to hop off here for the day. Those are new images, once again, coming out of the landfall area of Hurricane Ian in southwest Florida. Thanks for watching. Have a super day.